You know, as we get older, we start paying closer attention to what ends up on our plate. But even some everyday veggies might not be as friendly as they seem. Let's talk about which ones to avoid and which to welcome, so you can feel your best every single day. Let's start with one that might surprise you. I'm talking about raw eggplant. Now, most folks don't think of eggplant as dangerous, especially when it's sitting there looking innocent in a salad or sliced on a sandwich. But here's the thing, raw eggplant contains something called solanine. It's a natural compound, and in small doses our bodies usually handle it just fine. But once you're over 60, your digestive system doesn't work quite as fast as it used to. The lining of the stomach can become more sensitive, and that's when things like solanine can start to stir up trouble. I've seen it cause nausea, bloating, that heavy feeling after meals, and even lightheadedness or confusion in some folks. The older we get, the more carefully we have to treat anything that can throw off our digestion or affect our brain function. So, while eggplant can be a great vegetable, eating it raw is something I encourage older adults to be cautious about. It's not about fear. It's about understanding how your body changes and making small adjustments that support your health. I remember one of my longtime patients, Harold, from Dayton, Ohio. He's 72 and a retired school bus driver. A quiet, thoughtful man who always brings his own lunch to our appointments. One day he told me he'd been feeling off. Sort of foggy in the head, he said, and heavy in the stomach after meals. He wasn't sleeping well either, and he'd started feeling like his food was just sitting there, not digesting. I asked him to walk me through what he was eating, and he mentioned this new salad he'd been enjoying. Raw eggplant, tomatoes, and a vinegar dressing. Now, I know that sounds healthy, and it's popular in a lot of places, but I explained to him that raw eggplant might be part of the issue. We talked about solanine and how it affects older bodies differently. I suggested he try roasting the eggplant before eating it instead. About 2 weeks later, he came back in and said something simple but powerful. "Doc, I feel like myself again." He didn't change his entire diet, didn't start taking new meds, just one small shift, and it made a big difference. That's the kind of thing I want for all my patients, and for you too. One of the easiest ways to stay safe with eggplant is to cook it thoroughly. Roasting, grilling, or even sautéing it for a few minutes breaks down that solanine and turns it into a friendly food again. If you're someone who loves Mediterranean flavors, bake your eggplant slices in the oven with a little olive oil and herbs. It tastes great and won't leave your stomach upset. And if raw eggplant has been sneaking into your meals, this small change can really help how you feel after eating. You deserve to feel good after you eat, not sluggish, bloated, or dizzy. Our bodies may get a little more sensitive over time, but that doesn't mean we have to live in fear of food. It just means we get to be a little wiser, a little more tuned in. And that wisdom? It builds with every bite you take, every small choice you make. You've made it this far. You've earned comfort, clarity, and confidence at your table. Next up is one that sneaks into meals more often than we realize: canned corn. It's sweet, it's convenient, and it feels like a simple, harmless side dish. But for older adults, especially those dealing with high blood pressure or diabetes, canned corn can quietly cause more harm than good. See, most canned corn isn't just corn. It usually comes packed with added salt, sugar, and preservatives to make it shelf-stable and taste more appealing. And those added ingredients, they can work against your health. The sodium can raise your blood pressure, and the extra sugar, even in small amounts, can throw off your blood sugar levels, especially if your body already struggles to process insulin. After 60, many people find that their system becomes more sensitive to processed foods, and the little things like a scoop of canned corn can start to add up in ways they didn't before. That's why it's so important to check what's really inside that can and not just trust the label on the front. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 69 and lives just outside of Austin, Texas, a lively woman with a sharp wit and a big love for cooking. Every week she'd make a big pot of her famous veggie soup, and one of her staples was canned corn. It gave the soup sweetness and a bit of crunch, but over time she noticed her blood sugar creeping up even though her meals hadn't changed much. Her energy dipped too, and she felt bloated after dinner. During one of our check-ins, I asked her to bring a few food labels. When we looked at the corn can, the truth was right there. 10 grams of sugar per serving, and more salt than a bag of pretzels. She was shocked. "I thought I was eating healthy," she said, and she was trying, truly. That's what makes it frustrating, but knowledge is power. I encouraged her to swap out the canned version for frozen corn with no added ingredients. It was still easy to use and tasted even fresher. Within a month, her blood sugar was steadier, and she said her belly didn't feel like a balloon after meals. Little switch, big impact. And she didn't have to give up her soup. It just got a better ingredient. One of the most helpful things you can do is choose frozen or fresh corn instead of canned. Look for a bag in the freezer aisle that says no added sugar or salt. It's just pure corn, nothing extra. You can toss it into soups, warm it up as a side, or sauté it with a little butter and pepper. It cooks quickly, tastes great, and supports your health in a way canned corn just doesn't. You're not giving up flavor, you're upgrading it. Taking care of your health doesn't always mean doing more. It can mean doing less of something that isn't serving you. You don't have to follow strict rules or cut out everything you enjoy. Just make 1 or 2 changes that make your body feel more supported. Think of it like gardening. You're pulling out the weeds so the flowers can grow stronger. It's your time to thrive, and the choices you make now help that happen, gently and surely. Here's another one I often see causing hidden trouble: canned tomatoes. They're in so many recipes, soups, sauces, stews. It's no wonder we reach for them. They're easy, tasty, and seem healthy enough. But here's the catch. Many canned tomato products are high in acidity and often include preservatives, extra salt, and sometimes even sugar. For people over 60, this combination can irritate the stomach lining, contribute to acid reflux, and even worsen joint inflammation. As we age, the body produces less stomach acid, which paradoxically makes us more sensitive to acidic foods. So that heartburn after spaghetti night? It might not be the pasta. It could be the tomato sauce from a can. And if you've got arthritis or other inflammatory conditions, the additives in processed tomatoes can quietly fuel discomfort without you realizing where it's coming from. The tomatoes themselves aren't bad. It's how they're packaged and preserved that makes the difference. I had a patient named Robert, 75 years old, from Modesto, California. A big fan of Italian cooking, he'd make spaghetti and meatballs every Sunday for his grandkids. He always used a store-bought canned tomato sauce he liked, but over time he started noticing some unpleasant changes. After dinner, he'd get this burning sensation in his chest and a sour taste in his mouth when he laid down at night. His knees, already stiff from years of work in construction, began to ache more in the mornings. He thought it was just age catching up to him. But during one of our talks he mentioned the sauce. I suggested he try making it from scratch with fresh tomatoes, or even no salt added canned ones. He looked skeptical at first. Is it really going to make that much of a difference? But he agreed to try. A couple weeks later, he came back smiling. "I haven't had heartburn in days," he said, "and I think my knees feel better too." It wasn't magic. It was removing the little irritants that had been piling up for years. His meals still tasted great, and his body thanked him for the change. What often helps is switching from store-bought canned sauces to homemade ones using either fresh tomatoes or canned varieties that are low in sodium and without added sugars or preservatives. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just sauté some garlic and onions in olive oil, add your tomatoes, herbs like basil and oregano, simmer for a while, and that's it. You get the full flavor, the warmth of a homemade meal, and none of the ingredients that stir up trouble for your digestion or joints. Plus, you're in control of what goes into your body, which is one of the best ways to support your health at this stage of life. Sometimes the smallest changes bring the biggest relief. You don't need to overhaul your whole kitchen. Just swap one jar for a handful of fresh ingredients. You're still feeding yourself and your family with love, only now that love comes with a little extra care for your body too. Think of it like tuning a piano. The song stays the same, but the sound becomes clearer, softer, more beautiful. You deserve to enjoy your favorite meals without discomfort, and you can, one small shift at a time. Now let's talk about something your body will thank you for adding: kale. This leafy green doesn't get enough credit, especially among older folks who didn't grow up eating it. But trust me, Kale is a powerhouse, especially after 60. It's loaded with nutrients that help protect your bones, eyesight, and immune system. And the best part? It's gentle on your digestion and incredibly versatile. As we get older, bone density naturally decreases, making us more prone to fractures. Vision can fade, joints stiffen, and our body's ability to fight off illness slows down. Kale is rich in calcium, vitamin K, and lutein, 3 nutrients that play a big role in keeping your bones strong, your vision sharp, and your overall health resilient. It also contains fiber, which supports healthy digestion and helps keep things moving smoothly. What's more, it doesn't spike your blood sugar, which is an added bonus for people managing diabetes or blood pressure. If you've never tried kale before, or if you've tried it once and didn't like it, don't worry. The key is in how you prepare it, and I'll get to that. Let me share a story about Emma, 67, from Madison, Wisconsin. Emma's one of those people who always took good care of herself, but over the past year, she started noticing some changes. She told me her knees hurt more than usual when climbing stairs, and her hands felt stiff in the mornings. "I feel like I'm getting older all of a sudden," she said with a sigh. During a nutrition review, I asked her about leafy greens. "Spinach now and then," she said, "but that's it." I introduced her to kale, not in a lecture, just as a suggestion. "Try it sautéed with garlic or tossed into a soup," I said. "It might surprise you." She gave it a shot. A few weeks later, she came back smiling. "I've been adding kale to my omelets," she told me, "and guess what? My knees don't feel as tight and I've got more energy in the afternoons." Of course, kale wasn't a magic fix, but it gave her body the minerals and anti-inflammatory nutrients it needed to feel better. It was a small step that led to real change, and she didn't have to give up any favorite foods, just made room for something better. One of the simplest ways to enjoy kale is to sauté it lightly in olive oil with a bit of garlic. That softens the texture and mellows the flavor, making it more pleasant to eat. You can also add it to scrambled eggs, soups, or blend it into a smoothie with banana and berries. The trick is to keep it simple and find the way you like it best. Even just adding kale twice a week can make a difference for your bones, joints, and energy. And unlike some supplements, it gives your body a whole package of benefits in one. Natural food. You don't need a fancy diet or complicated plan to feel stronger. Sometimes one green leaf at a time is enough. Kale is more than just a trendy vegetable. It's a gift your body can use every day. Think of it like sunlight through a window. Quiet, steady, healing. You're doing something good for yourself. And that's something to be proud of. Keep going. You're building something beautiful and your body feels it. Here's a bright and familiar friend your body truly appreciates. Carrots. You've probably been told since you were a kid that carrots are good for your eyes. But what you might not know is just how important they become as you age. Carrots are rich in beta-carotene, a compound your body converts into vitamin A. And vitamin A isn't just for vision, it also supports your immune system, helps maintain healthy skin, and plays a key role in keeping your inner organs working smoothly. After 60, your body's ability to absorb nutrients can slow down. Eyesight can become more strained, especially in the evening, and minor infections, dry skin, or low energy might start to creep in. Carrots don't fix everything, but they quietly support all these parts of you, making each day a little easier, a little clearer. Plus, they're gentle on digestion, low in sugar, and easy to prepare in lots of ways. I think of Tom when I talk about carrots. He's 70 years old and lives in a small town outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. Tom used to be a carpenter, and even now he's always fixing something around the house. He came to me complaining about his eyes. "They just don't work like they used to," he said, "especially at night. Reading gets harder, and I hate asking my wife to read me the instructions." I could tell it frustrated him. We looked at his diet, mostly balanced, but low in orange vegetables. I asked him to try something simple. Eat a raw carrot every day, just one, as a snack before lunch or with dinner. A month later, Tom was back with a grin. "My eyes aren't perfect," he said, "but I don't need the flashlight to read my paper anymore." It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was a meaningful shift. He also noticed his skin felt less dry and his colds didn't linger as long. It was one small addition to his routine, but it gave him a sense of control, a boost of confidence, and a little spark of hope that, yes, good things can still happen with age. What often helps is to enjoy carrots in the way that works best for you. You can snack on them raw with a little hummus, roast them in the oven with olive oil, or add them to soups and stews. They're naturally sweet, easy to chew when cooked, and don't need much seasoning. Even half a carrot a day can make a difference, especially if you make it a habit. You don't have to change your whole plate, just add a little color to it. That color carries nutrients your body will quietly thank you for. Adding carrots isn't just about your eyes, it's about choosing something that nourishes you inside and out. Like a warm scarf on a chilly morning, it wraps your body in gentle protection. You deserve to see the world more clearly, feel more vibrant, and walk into each day knowing you've done something kind for yourself. And sometimes, that kindness is as simple as crunching on a carrot. Let's move on to another green that's worth keeping close: broccoli. It might not be everyone's favorite at first bite, but don't let that fool you. Broccoli is one of the most beneficial vegetables for folks over 60, and I'll tell you why. As we age, our bodies naturally produce more inflammation. It's part of the aging process, and it can show up in many ways: stiff joints, slower healing, brain fog, or general fatigue. Broccoli contains special plant compounds, like sulforaphane, that help reduce inflammation throughout the body. It also supports liver function, which is essential for detoxifying your system, especially if you're on medications or have a history of health conditions. And let's not forget about heart health. Broccoli helps keep your blood vessels clear and flexible, plus it's high in fiber, which supports digestion and helps lower cholesterol. It really is a full-body helper, and that's why I recommend it so often in my practice. One of my patients, Nancy, is a great example. She's 73 and lives in Portland, Oregon. A retired school teacher with a soft voice and a great sense of humor. Nancy came to me a while back complaining of feeling stiff in the mornings, as she put it. Her knees felt like they'd rusted overnight, and her energy dipped by lunchtime. "I don't feel sick," she told me, "just slow." We talked through her lifestyle, and something stood out. She wasn't eating many cruciferous vegetables like broccoli. She remembered avoiding it as a kid and never gave it another try. I gently suggested she give it another chance, this time lightly steamed with a touch of garlic and olive oil. A few weeks later, she told me something that made me smile. "I'm not springy, but I'm not stuck anymore." She noticed her mornings felt smoother, her skin looked fresher, and she even joked that her thinking was a little sharper. It wasn't magic. It was nutrients doing their quiet work. Nancy didn't change her life, she just welcomed something back into her kitchen, and her body responded with gratitude. One of the easiest ways to enjoy broccoli is to steam or sauté it until it's just tender, bright green, not mushy. Add a splash of olive oil, a pinch of salt, maybe a little turmeric or lemon juice if you like. You can also roast it in the oven until the edges get crispy. Try adding it to soups, stir-fries, or even omelettes. Aim for 2 or 3 servings a week, about half a cup per serving. It's enough to make a difference without feeling like a chore. Choosing broccoli isn't just about nutrition. It's a small way of saying, I still care for this body of mine. It's easy to forget that we deserve nourishment at every age, not just when we're young. Think of broccoli like a quiet helper in your kitchen. It doesn't need to be flashy. It just does its job, helping you move easier, feel lighter, and stay strong. One forkful at a time, you're building a body that can meet the day with a little more ease and a little more joy. Let's wrap up with a vegetable that's deep in color and full of power: beets. If you're over 60 and want to support your heart, your brain, and your circulation, beets are a wonderful ally. They're rich in natural nitrates, which the body converts into nitric oxide. That helps relax and widen blood vessels, improving blood flow and lowering blood pressure. This is especially important as we age, because blood flow to the brain can decrease, contributing to memory issues or a sense of mental fog. Beets are also packed with antioxidants, fiber, and folate, nutrients that protect your cells and support the health of your liver and immune system. Plus, they help keep your digestive tract moving, which becomes more important as the metabolism slows with age. Beets aren't just another vegetable. They're like nature's way of sending energy and clarity through your bloodstream, gently but consistently. I think of George, 76, from Jacksonville, Florida. He came to see me after his daughter noticed he was becoming forgetful. "She says I keep asking the same questions," he told me. He wasn't worried at first, but once he started misplacing keys and forgetting names, he knew it was time to look deeper. His blood pressure was also creeping up, and he didn't want to rely on medication just yet. We looked at some nutritional changes, and I suggested he start adding roasted beets to his diet a few times a week. "Not sure I like the taste," he said, but he was willing to try. We kept things simple: diced, roasted with olive oil, tossed, into salads. After a couple months, George came in with a spark in his eye. "I still lose my glasses," he joked, "but I remember why I walked into the kitchen now." His blood pressure had dropped a few points too, and his mood had lifted. He felt sharper, more confident. He still had occasional lapses, it's natural, but he felt more in control. And it all started with a vegetable he used to avoid. What helps many folks is to prepare beets in a way that brings out their natural sweetness. Roast them until they're tender, then slice them into a salad or mash them with a little olive oil. You can also blend cooked beets into a smoothie with berries and yogurt, or add them to a warm grain bowl. Try to enjoy beets 2 to 3 times a week. You don't need a huge amount. Just a half cup per serving is plenty to get the benefits. If the earthy flavor isn't your favorite, adding a splash of lemon or a pinch of salt can make a big difference. Beets remind me of little gifts from the ground. Quiet, unassuming but full of strength. They carry a steady kind of support, the kind that builds up over time and keeps you going when the days feel heavy. You don't need to change everything at once. Just start with what you can hold in your hand, taste on your tongue, and offer to your heart. One beet at a time, you're choosing clarity, energy, and care for your brain, your body, and your life. If something here helped you today, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more gentle, useful advice. You're not alone on this journey. You're stronger than you think, and life still has so much beauty left to offer.